All right, let's see what we have here. I think my first fight is against the um, Trog Queen. Yeah. So my strategy here is mainly to get rid of the poison Trogs first. I find them to be the most annoying. My decay resistance is kind of high enough that it really doesn't make that big of a difference. Um, After that, the two Mage Trogs and the Spear Trogs are really just whichever one I can get rid of first conveniently. It doesn't really matter. During the first stage, the Trog Queen will do nothing but really buff and heal the other Trogs. And any damage that you do to the Trog Queen will end up getting healed from one of the other Trogs. So there's no real point in fighting the Trog Queen at first. You can just safely ignore it. It will do some melee if you get close. Yeah, there I got hit once. Luckily the regular Trogs don't do a lot of damage. And also for this one I chose to do light buff. Honestly, you with the two-handed sword, you can really do either. The main reason I chose to do light with two-handed, and this is the one you really want to watch out for if you see the Trog Queen posing up for that. You do want to swing. If you see that longer animation where it kind of swirls the staff after starting to go down instead of immediately lifting it back up, it's going for a heal, and that's safe to just wail. You can just start attacking. See, like there, that was that quick poke up animation. And then, let's see. Yeah, it has some melee attacks. They do decent damage. I really think it only does 1 to 2. See the slow one poke animation. Oh. Oh, there, I was wrong. There's 3. And I think oh no. Okay, there, I did get hit by that. I was going to say that was a little bit late. See that slow animation like that? You can just wail. And honestly, it's advisable that you do because they are going to heal and you want to try to counteract that healing as much as possible. The orbs do heavy poison. If you get hit by just one, I believe it does the poison. Oh, man, I took a lot there. So you do want to try to make sure that you avoid those if you can. That's the real danger of the fight. The melee attacks don't hurt too much. Of course, there's the buff, and I tried to check to see if I had a panacea, and I did not. So, yeah, no panacea for me. I just try to heal off some of the poison with runes. When you have Runic Prefix, it does give you a little bit of a regen at the end. Luckily, the combination of decay resistance plus the regen is really all I ended up needing. I did do the healing water as well, just to give myself a little bit extra. But overall, the fight was pretty easy. The hardest part of this fight is actually getting the Jewel Bird meat. You may have noticed in my backpack I had the Alchemy backpack. It has a similar preservation effect to the preservation backpack, so it's a good one to use if you can't get the preservation backpack. I did Shersenes first. So this next one is either Brand Squire or the Elite Pistol Shrimp. I think this one's Brand Squire. So Brand Squire is, I believe, a weak 2 decay, but as a human, they dodge a lot, but they don't dodge necessarily immediately. They have Perfect Strike and then just regular attacks plus this little wave of energy. So generally you have time to dodge the Perfect Strike if you see him pose. Just roll off to the side, preferably to your right, and you should be good to go. You can even sometimes roll into him. This fight makes me somewhat wish that this game had a PvP, because it's really fun to have an enemy that, you know, dodges and attacks and has similar moves to what you can have. Overall, this fight's not too difficult. Mainly just avoid the Perfect Strike. Even the little wave thing doesn't do a whole lot of damage. See there, even though I swung and missed, I still had time to dodge the Perfect Strike. So it's basically trying to time my attack to where he won't roll out of the way, because he'll dodge both the Elemental Discharge and the Moment of Truth if you try to attack from raw. So you want to try to get him right at the end of an attack. The main attacks that you know are good on are running attacks, the little wave fire thing, and then if he does a 4-hit combo or a strong attack, then generally you're free to attack. But any other situation, and he's probably going to roll out of the way. He also blocks too, which is good. Again, this just somewhat makes me wish there was a PvP element, even if it's just for fun, not competitive. Oh, he stopped me there. Hit me with the little wave thing. It does do a decent amount of stagger, as far as like making your character stagger, and not so much your impact in total, I believe. It doesn't also do a whole lot of damage. Overall, the fight's not too bad, but it is a lot of fun. It is one of my more enjoyable fights. Let me just get our reward here. And of course pocket swap into speed. So that leaves the elite shrimp left. Now this fight is... I play it as if it's a lot more dangerous than it is. My character actually has 100% lightning resist, so I don't actually take any damage if I get hit, and there's a couple times where I do get hit, and you'll see that I don't take any damage. The only time I do take damage is from the physical attacks. So overall this fight's actually really easy, but I did try to pretend like it was not, just so you get an idea of how the attack patterns are. So I tried to dodge with the B attack, and it turns out that you cannot do that. Can't do it with that one either. So did not use that as a strategy. I used, I can't remember if I used Mystic Ice Imbue or the Varnish on this one. I believe the Varnish, or the one-handed, does more damage. And again, I tried to dodge with the B attack, and it didn't work, so do not recommend that. And as you can see there, I took 0 damage. But I still, again, treat the fight like it is a little bit more dangerous, just so that you get an idea of how the patterns go. I do get a little bit greedy because I know that there's low risk. Some of the more higher risk fights you'll see I'm less greedy and I take more time. But right now I'm being pretty greedy. Luckily the fight itself is not too difficult, even if you do not have 100% lightning resist. A lot of the timings are similar to regular pistol shrimp, just with less cooldown. So if you're good at fighting regular pistol shrimp, this one shouldn't be too bad. A little bit sloppy at the end, I got greedy. But yeah, overall pretty easy. The Sure Sneeze ones aren't too bad. My favorite of the Sure Sneeze is definitely the Brand Squire. I'm trying to remember, I think after this I went to the Hollowed Marsh. I think my path was Hollowed Marsh, Harmattan, and then I took a ride from Harmattan to Vaunt, and then did Berg, and then went from Berg to Sirocco. So this fight is almost a little bit of a camera fight. If you get too close when you dodge outward, your camera will kind of mess you up. And it's really not too bad. If you can fight the ones in the cave in Caldera, then you can handle this fight. It's just the same fight but with more HP. Attacks are the same, just with 1 extra lightning orb, which really doesn't change a whole lot. Especially not for my build where I can literally walk through with them, and the only thing I really have to worry about is equipment damage, which I do worry about because I did these like in-game. I did them right after each other. I did take breaks in between in real life, but in the game it was right after each other, so I went from one to the other unless I had to. But yeah, just basically use your blocks, roll into the attacks like you would any other giant, and try to avoid the bombs, the lightning bombs. See, that's what happens when you don't roll into the attack, but you roll away. And that's what happens when you roll into it. You end up okay. I think the one-handed version of the sword is better for this fight just because of the quick in and out. You can use the two-handed as well. It really doesn't make a big difference. I think the monk is actually weak to ice, but otherwise doesn't have much in the way of weaknesses or defenses. So just kind of use whatever you're most comfortable with. Like I said, I like the quick in and out of the one hand. Less commitment to the animation. So that's what I use. This next one, I was more nervous than I probably should have been. I say that, but oh no, this isn't the one I thought it was. This is the knight or the ash giants. I wasn't too nervous on this one. This one is just a management one. Just kind of keep the camera behind you. In most cases, it's better not to lock on. In that case, I was using Mana Ward because I knew I was going to get hit, but I wanted to deal that damage as quickly as I could. Once you get one or two of these guys down, or especially two, once you get one of these guys down, it's really not so bad. It's actually a pretty easy fight, but yeah. And the Mana Ward does protect you from the fumes. It doesn't protect you from status effects, keep that in mind. So if you are fighting an enemy that either deals decay or does status effects, it won't protect you against that. But again, it does against any kind of ticks of damage. So it is a really strong, like, I'm going to trade blows, but I'm not going to take any damage from it type thing. So my plan at this point is just to stagger with that and then hit him with that so that I can just build up some damage. It's not a very exciting fight. It's kind of okay-ish. It can be a decent challenge for some builds, especially builds that like sigils. If you're not good at moving around the sigils and maneuvering your opponent, this fight can be more difficult. But overall, I don't think it's a too hard of a fight, especially not compared to the other 3-enemy fight in the Unknown Arenas. And then once you get to one enemy, it's literally just a regular giant fight. If you can beat the ones in Monsoon, you can beat this fight. And again, just stagger with Runic Trap, and then yeah, I didn't think I was going to stagger there, but I'm glad I did. Yeah, stagger with Runic Trap and then just hit. It's not a tough one. And of course, Moment of Truth to wrap things off. That is probably one of the most broken moves in the game. It does have a drawback in the drawback, having your defenses. Well, it says have your defenses, but in reality what it does is it applies a -50 to all your defenses. Which is arguably worse, because half of 0, if you had 0 defenses, would be 0. Half of 50 defense would be 25. But in reality, if you use it and you have 50 defense, you have 0 defense. Now this fight I thought was going to be harder than it was. The main reason I was afraid of this fight is that jumping claw attack does half my health. Luckily, I can fight pretty much from a distance if I want. Oh yeah, see, look at that. That was just the regular bite, and the jumping attack does even more damage. So yeah, I'm gonna rely a little bit on regen. I could use Runic Heal, but really I don't need to. As long as I have half my health, I'm okay. There's, again, Mana Ward saving the day. especially with the drawback active, I would have taken quite a bit of damage. And so I try the trap thing again, and it didn't quite work out in that exchange, but I think I get it to work a little bit later. Oop. And I lost half my health with those fireballs. Luckily I didn't have the drawback in place, otherwise I would have been in trouble. One thing to note about this arena is it is very hot in here, so you do want a little bit of weather defense. Ooh, there's a little bit of lag in my game there. While recording. Overall, the recording seems pretty smooth. Did I mana ward that, or did I get hit? And that hit the wall. Comes from the lantern was in the wall, so I got hit. Overall, just play it very carefully. Try not to get hit by the jumping attack, because that one. That one is the most dangerous one that it can throw out at you. I have decent fire resist. If you don't have good fire resist, then the jumping or the fireball attacks are pretty rough. They do inflict burning, so if you can't avoid it and you are not strong against fire, then it's definitely a good idea. This fight is harder against people with one-handed axes that are short, because there is an animation on hitbox thing where when it kind of rears back to attack or move, the one-handed attacks from axes that are short are just straight up miss. They may even hit the model, but the hitbox, it causes it to miss. So do keep that in mind. If you're using a one-handed axe only, you want to hit him from the side if that's the case. Next one is Harmattan. I think the first one I did... don't recall the order I did them in. Oh, yeah, the Immaculate. So, the Immaculate's our friend. I did not fight the Immaculate. I made sure to both enter and exit the area without fighting him. Because if you join the Holy Mission, it immediately turns hostile, which is unfortunate. So the Immaculate Bird for this fight with this build is kind of a joke. The main thing that the Immaculate Bird has from it, as you can see, that did no damage. But that did a lot of damage. And that's because the Immaculate Bird has like 70% damage resistance in all defenses. And I think on this one, there's something I forgot to do. I don't remember what it was. There's something I forgot to do that would have made this fight even easier. I don't recall. But either way, it's basically 2 moment of truce and the fight's over. Very quick, very easy. Just don't get hit by Prismatic Flurry and you're good. If you do get hit by Prismatic Flurry, it does hurt. This one I don't think is as enjoyable as Brand Squire, even when it does last a little bit longer. I think when it comes to the human-shaped ones, Brand Squire is better. Although technically, I guess that one is a bird. Alright, and then of course, and get out of there. I don't know what I thought those were, but I went to go check those out and then leave. Next one in Antique Plateau is the Buzu? Maybe? No, the shell. Okay, so on this one, I chose the one-handed one, mostly because, again, he has quick attacks, and so the being able to move in and out is very important. I used the Innocence Potion before this because I knew I was probably going to get hit by that at least once, and it deals Corruption, as does his regular attacks, so even if you block them, you'll still build up Corruption. Now, as you can see, I'm decently tanky against the damage types that this one does, so it's not that scary of a fight. The main concern is both equipment damage and the corruption. When it does that pound, it means it's switching phases. It has 3. The main thing that it does extra in phase 2 is more jumping attacks, but it doesn't do them that frequently. It also does that spin. So you get that jump, and then you get the spin with the laser beam. And then phase 3 is when it starts to do a lot of jumping attacks. But yeah, it's basically dodge that, the beam again, not too scary. I think it's about to jump into phase 3. There we go. And now it gets super aggressive, lots of jumps. And it removes the laser beam. Similar to the regular ones. Oh, it said no. When you fight the regular ones, when they get to their regular phase 2, because the normal ones don't have 3 phases, it forgoes the beam in exchange for more aggression. And I do like the progression on this one where you can get the relatively non-aggressive... Oh, looks like there was a little bit of a beam. So it still keeps it if you get far away. Or is this a phase 4? Might have to... That might have been a phase 4. Because yeah, now it's aggressive and using beams. But by that time it's too late. Overall, not too difficult. It does do a lot of impact. So if you're a build that relies on blocking and you don't have good impact resistance, then you might run into some trouble. Okay, so the last one's the Elite Buzu. The Elite Buzu is not too bad. It also, I think, is better with the faster weapon. I believe I chose the one-handed sword on this one. Yeah. And on this one, I had to go get a glass axe. Because apparently my book doesn't count as an enchanted item. And my strategy with this one is it's only weak to fire, and I had some extra fire varnishes, so I said, let's do some fire. It really doesn't actually matter which one you do. To be completely frank, you can use light, you can use whatever. Again, I just chose fire because I had an extra fire varnish on hand. It's a pretty aggressive enemy. You mainly just want to dodge to the side. Dodging back generally isn't a very good idea, both because of those little explosive balls and also because occasionally it'll just like rush at you. So when it does that little dive, I'll show you here in just a second. That one, if you roll back, it can do that secondary attack like that. That'll hit. So you got to be careful about backing up too much. So mainly just diagonal towards. The fight doesn't have a whole lot of patterns. Just mainly, dodge toward and in so that you don't run into the follow-up attacks or the little explodey dudes. On second thought, the two-handed might be fine here too, because I have enough for one attack for sure, but I don't have that many. Oh, apparently the strong attack works to dodge. Okay, well, do that too. And the one-handed's better since that works. I guess I figured I was close enough to winning I'd give it a try instead of working on rolling. But yeah, the strong attack afterwards seems to work well. And then the technique to finish it off. It's a good damage dealer. The damage per second that it deals is pretty high. If you have a high impact weapon, one thing about that technique is that if you have a high impact weapon, it's actually possible to knock the enemy down and them not to take the full damage. So the sweet spot is either to get them where you have a low impact weapon, but you hit them when they have a strong opening, or use a medium impact weapon to where you don't entirely knock them down at the first couple hits. That said, even if you do, it's still okay. So Calixa here always starts the fight with that. There is a glitch, so if you see that pattern where she turns around after she rolls, in some instances she won't turn back around and she'll spend the whole fight fighting against you and backwards until you switch her. So Calixa has no that was bad. Calixa has no real weaknesses. So I use the technique to start out, and then while the technique is cooling down, use two-handed weapon and moment of truth, because I'm not going to have very many times where I'm going to be able to swing a bunch with the one-handed weapon. And then on a per hit basis, the two-handed weapon does more damage. So yeah, just use that one. And the shield you can roll back from, but you want to either time it really, really well, or you want to double roll. And then she also has this really slow that one, where you want to double roll, because if you just single roll and you start up close, it will hit you. You can also run away if you see it coming, which gives you time to counterattack. Overall, Calixa, if you learn her moves, is a very, very easy fight. There's that 4-hit combo that's sometimes a 3. And it's I don't really know what the tell is other than she hits it the 4th time, or maybe it's 5. Well, she has one variation where it's more, one where it's less. Now that the technique is cooled down, swap out weapons, pocket swap to my book, and then find the opening to do the technique. She blocked a couple of them, and I took a hit. But for some reason I didn't take a whole lot of damage, which I'm not going to complain about. I think Calixa's attacks do 5 types of elemental damage, so it's probably my elemental defense and my barrier that's helping me. But yeah, overall pretty easy. I think I'm one moment of truth away from the winning, so I go for the two-handed sword probably. And then just moment of truth. There we go. Next up, I believe, is the golem, because the golem's the most on the way. Now the golem I play very, very safe because I'm bad at dodging the beast golem attack patterns. I don't know why I'm so bad at it, but I am bad at it. So I play it very, very safe. It does have these 2 little cannons on the back. The red one does slow, and the red one does burning, and the other one does slow, I believe. And so if you get hit by them, and I think I do actually a couple times, you do end up taking that status, and I think it's a 1-hit inflict. I don't think you can really avoid it. I get smart partway through and realize I don't have to play it so safe. I can actually bully the thing a little bit, but at the start I was playing it very, very safe because I wanted to win, obviously. And then of course I use the varnish because that does a lot of damage. The main thing is if you dodge away, you can run into some issues because of the camera. You'll dodge away but kind of also into the attack at the same time, especially the second one. So it can be a little bit rough. So if you can, dodge into the attack instead. I wonder if this is when I get smart. So yeah, because I'm realizing, I'm looking at that, I'm like, you know what? That's doing 1/3 of the impact, and Runic Trap does a similar amount. So I can probably do both and then bully him. And that's what I end up going for, and that's a good strategy, I think. I'm not even sure if the elemental discharge is necessary as long as I have rage and impact boost from the buffs. See, there we go. I got hit by that. Oh, I guess it doesn't take... I guess it doesn't instantly inflict it. I guess miasmic tolerance did allow me to not get hit by that immediately. Oh, but there we go. Now I got hit by it. There we go. And that combination of Runic Trap plus Elemental Discharge is one you'll see me use decently regularly against enemies that it can stagger. Because while I don't have amazing stagger potential, I can't stack it. I do have that burst stagger, and anything that I can burst stagger with that will take a decent amount of damage. So it is one worth trying against a lot of enemies. But yeah, overall I played this fight really safe. This next one, the sharks, I don't know why I was not that worried about this fight, but I absolutely should have been. I very close to lost, and this is a very long, drug out fight. So two things I forgot to remember on this one is that there are 3 of them that attack you at the same time, and also they have like a lot of ethereal resistance. So my original plan was to burn one of them, use the trap as impact to stagger them all 3 at the same time, and then try to focus one of them down. And I was like, okay, well, I'll get the one on fire and, you know, use that to help wear it down. And I'd use the quick attacks of the one-handed to kind of poke and build up that fire. That plan did not work. As you can see, I end up abandoning it pretty quickly after this. Because as you can see, 2 things. One, despite the fact that they all move together, they're far enough apart that oftentimes only one of them gets staggered. And the rest of them, while I try to focus on the one, is going to hurt me. So, yeah, I decided to go against that plan pretty soon. And also, you may notice that the fire wore off already and didn't do a whole lot of damage. So I'm like, okay, this is not working. I am going to do a similar strategy, except instead of trying to do fire, I'm going to stagger and then moment of truth. So it didn't really matter who I staggered, just as long as I staggered them so they wouldn't all attack me at the same time. Because if they knock you down, they'll just continue to attack you, and it can be pretty rough. So this turned into a hit with moment of truth and try to bring them down type fight, and it was not pretty. As you can see, I got hit a lot. I did have to abuse Mana Ward, and my equipment gets pretty damaged. I think my Scholar Circlet actually breaks at some point, and I just straight up missed on that one. And that 10% may not seem like a lot, but man, when you lose it and you're just waiting for one move to come back, it's very noticeable. That one went about as smoothly as it could. And then eventually my impact buffs wear off, and then trap is no longer enough to stagger, and man, does that get even more rough. That's coming up here soon, I think. And you have to be careful, because the most damage I'll take, there's 2 situations where I'm going to be in a lot of danger. And those 2 situations are I run into any of those mines, or I get knocked down while all 3 of them are still able to attack. The mines do a lot of damage, especially since my offensive strategy is Moment of Truth. I have to be very, very careful, because one of those mines can do like a quarter of my health, potentially more. Okay, so yeah, my impact buffs are gone. So you'll see here, I go for the mine a couple times, and I'm like, they're not staggering anymore, and that becomes very problematic. So I have to essentially just try to time my Moment of Truths along with Mana Ward. See, I look at that and I'm like, oh, well, no stagger. Okay. And then I switch to trying to target them with Elemental Discharge, and I'm like, okay, well, they're so fast that this is not working very well either. Let's Mana Ward and just take the hits and try to make sure that I'm protected during that time. I do have to work on toggling locking on and not locking on, so that I make sure that I'm hitting the right person with Elemental Discharge, or right shark with Elemental Discharge, but also being able to see You can kind of free aim, because if your character will intuitively aim at somebody if you use Elemental Discharge. They'll also do that with Runic Lantern. However, well, if you have to actually be, the enemy has to be on screen, but man, that missed again. Oh, and as you can see from that attack there, that mine just destroyed me. And I'm starting to run low on stamina, and with 3 of them here, there is no time to use a potion. So I have to essentially try to balance my stamina a lot more than I was. And they also, one thing to keep in mind about trying to just lame it out and shoot stuff is that they do have passive health regen. Now I'm down to only 2 sharks, which makes this fight 100 times easier. Only having to worry about the attacks of 2, as you can see. I'm able to walk more. Yeah, just like that. I'm walking part of it and then only rolling a little bit to help conserve stamina. And I refresh my sword. I don't know how much time I have left, but I feel like it's starting to run out. That one was a good trade. I hit both of them. Ah, there's my Scholar Circlet. So yeah, you can watch my skills after this. Just slow down so hard. One thing to note about these is you will have a difficult time just straight up blocking them. I think when I get to one-on-one, I do try to block them a little bit. I don't know why I put down trap. I think I messed up and I was trying to do Lantern. Yeah, that's probably what happened. But yeah, I'm riding pretty heavily on Mana Ward, which unfortunately my equipment, again, I messed up and did a trap instead of lightning. As you can see, you can kind of manual aim with the camera if you need to. I got knocked out of Moment of Truth on that one. Luckily, Ward protected me. The last shark, or one of the sharks, getting low, which is very, very good news. I think it's 1 Moment of Truth away. I think I try to refresh my sword. No, I don't. I just go for it. Okay. Yeah, so as you can see there, it hit me from the side when I tried to block. And then I think there's another time where it just straight up hits me from behind. If you have some distance, you can block it. But if you're right up next to him, oftentimes, yeah, you'll miss. I like that, see? Right around. Ooh, I ran into a mine there. Yeah. So you can see that does a huge chunk of health. That's the scary thing. The physical attack's not so bad. Luckily, we can mostly heal them off, although our mana is also limited. It can feel unlimited at times with our mana cost reduction plus being tired. Luckily, this fight's nearing an end, but yeah, this one is the longest one. How long was this one? 9 minutes? Most of my other fights were under 3. So yeah, this one's definitely the hardest of all of these for this fight. Elite Crimson Avatar was a cakewalk compared to this one. But yeah, man, that one was rough. My character's huffing, and I'm feeling the same on the inside at the end of this. Next up, I think, is Berg. And I think I did the Twin Liches first. And if you compare this fight to my fight against them individually, it's a world of difference. Like the extra damage from being tired and having the appropriate buffs and equipment, pretty insane. Ooh, this is a little laggy on the recording. It wasn't this laggy in game. So yeah, that's a third of its health gone already. I don't have to worry that much about the Light Bender, because again, 100% lightning resistance. However, I still want my equipment to not be broken. And this build is actually excellent for this fight, because the primary sword that we use comes with a free lightning imbue, which is what Plague Doctor is weak to. And then the Light Bender is weak to decay, and our bigger sword comes with decay. So it kind of works out. We just focus on the one. And that one I had to be careful on because it's the little dudes, when they come and meet in the center, they do an explosion. Just like that. And I heard the Light Bender going, so I rolled. I think we just need one elemental discharge. Yep. And then we just need to switch to our other sword. There we go. And now this one should be relatively easy. I don't think I get the weird glitch this time. I wonder if I have to go back and look. I wonder if the weird glitch happens on teleport, like when he does that teleport thing. Like in New Sirocco, where I hit that one guy while he was rolling, and then he had infinite impact. So the one danger about rolling straight forward into these orbs is if you roll straight forward and you get hit by one, you'll get hit by multiple, and it can delete your entire health bar. But yeah, relatively easy fight. We don't take a lot of damage. The one that you're more likely to get hit a lot by is the Light Bender, and we have an immunity to lightning, so it's yeah, pretty easy fight. If you're having trouble with this fight and you're okay with switching out your armor, Entomber armor is basically the equivalent of having the defenses like I do in this one, where you have essentially immunity to both. Overall, not too bad. I do really like this fight. I think it's really, really fun, and it challenges your awareness of what's going on. So I find it to be a very enjoyable fight. Next up is, I believe, the Immaculate Dreamer. Yeah. So this one I chose to do the one-handed sword for the speed. And this one was fun because I can't, with how big my monitor is, I can't actually see his health bar unless I physically turn my head to look up. So for the most part, I'm just watching the attacks, and I'm not really paying any attention to the health. I'm just basically fighting. Once you learn the attack patterns, it's pretty easy. You can block a lot of stuff. You do take corruption on block. That animation, of course, is the smash. You can't block that unless you have what's it called? Now these pokes that he does at the end of some of those slices, if you walk, you'll notice me walking slightly to the right. The reason for that is if you walk slightly to the right and he does the follow-up pokes, you'll see here soon, I think, they just miss. I still do block. Yeah, just like, hold on. I'm sure he does them soon. There we go. Yeah, it's just slightly to the right over by the shaft, because the hurt box is on the blade. And so if you're slightly to the right on the shaft, you just take no damage. This is, again, a very enjoyable fight. I like this one a lot. It's really cool. The level design is really amazing, like the arena once you beat them. Super great. But yeah, basically just roll into him and then stray slightly to the right, and you'll dodge pretty much every melee attack. Roll out. One thing is, if you are a ranged character, he has a super fast laser beam. Like, you know, the old I'm firing my laser beam. He basically has that, and it's incredibly fast. and it's hard to not get hit at all. But if you roll immediately when you hear the sound, you'll probably just take a small tick of damage. To avoid him from firing that laser, just stay in his face like I was. If you back away, the laser will come. So keep that in mind. I can't remember what that says. It's something in French about dreaming. But yeah, this whole lore and stage is just amazing. The fight is fun. The level design is great. All in all, definitely in my top probably 3 fights in this whole game. I do a little bonus because when I did this to get in here, I essentially went down the rope and just jumped off the bridge. I didn't bother to actually run through, and I hadn't killed the unique enemy here. So I do go ahead and kill the unique enemy just for the fun of it. I thought the poke would kill, but it didn't. And yeah, this is basically what happens. I get the attention here, and then yep, that's it. Easy fight. Barely a fight at all. I think I brought a purity potion too, and I ended up with only like 20% corruption, despite blocking all those attacks. Next up is Elite Burning Man. This one, it's basically 3 obsidian elementals at the start, because the Burning Man acts like one. He just shoots a few fireballs out, does a little bit of fire shooting. He doesn't get really that dangerous until you take him down to about half health. Luckily, we have decent fire defense. I did not realize how bulky these obsidian elementals were compared to regular obsidian elementals. I believe they have more health, because normal obsidian elementals should be dead by now. The main thing is, dodge 2 directions on the fireballs. And that applies as well later. Now that he's by himself, you can focus a little bit more on him. I do not recommend taking him down to half health until after you have killed the obsidian elementals. So at full health, regardless whether he's by himself or not, he doesn't do a whole lot other than shoot fireballs. Once you get him down a little bit, he does these numbers, which, again, it's better to dodge in at an angle than dodge at the other angle. The same goes for the fire. Dodging away, as you can see, gets you hit. So dodge in at an angle. Don't dodge away. And then, of course, Mana Ward's nice. These do inflict burning, and he can inflict Scorch. So even if you have a character with 100% fire resistance, he can still end up dealing damage to you. And as you can see, that's what 1 hit looks like. Now imagine if I had the Scorch X on top of that. I go with the good old attempt to see if those 2 things stagger, and they do not. Dodge in, dodge in. Same thing, dodge in. Overall, it's not too bad. Dodge in, dodge in. This fight can be very, very scary if you do not have good fire defense. Or if you deal primarily fire damage. He also has 100% resistance to fire damage. Obviously. This fight was impossible to do with my lantern throw only build. I could not beat it. Because even if you use one of the elemental lanterns, the lantern throw still only does fire damage. Alright, next up is Gargoyles. This one is pretty easy. We do ethereal damage, so Honestly, it's like 3 regular gargoyle fights in a row with some minor exceptions. They do the slam, they do the thing. This guy has a spin attack that hopefully he'll do soon so you can see. There it goes. Oh, and I tried to be fancy. And they do not attack you at the same time, even if you get near them, so don't be afraid to use the arena. However, you finish the fight right next to the next one that gets up, you will run into the issue of them awakening right away before you have time to prepare. I don't know why I didn't see that one coming. Probably was focused on the exploding balls, but... yeah, that's his only gimmick, is the exploding balls. Everything else is standard gargoyle fare. They do take up a lot of screen space, so yeah, keep that in mind. They do, like the Medis, they do take a little bit to explode, so you don't have to dodge them right away, but you do not want to stay in them for very long. Overall, the most damage is going to be from the physical attacks, so just keep that in mind. I refreshed the sword just because I don't want it running out mid-fight. The rest of my buffs I don't really care about. This guy's gimmick is that he buffs himself, but I don't even know what the buff is. That buff there, I don't know what it actually does. Not a lot apparently, because it was not very effective. We do ethereal damage. But yeah, if you can fight gargoyles, like I've shown you in my previous videos, then you can fight these guys. It did fight pretty sloppy, I don't know why. That hit a lot more than I should have. Maybe I was tired when I did this one, I don't know. Probably could have won there, but I wanted to be safe. Better safe than sorry. Overall, pretty easy fight. The next one I think I did was the Elite Tor Crab. That fight is an FPS killer, and you will see why. It is also a race to kill him before the entire screen gets filled with explosive traps. So yeah, that's basically how this fight's gonna go. Overall, he kind of fights like a regular Tor Crab. He's got the claw swipes. He's got the head pokey thing. He's got those, which again is the real killer. Because look at that arena. It's just ticking damage over and over. And it can be difficult to get in. Luckily we have some ranged options in our build. Retreats more into the explosions. Then we just roll out of there, Dark Souls style. And look how long those last. That whole arena is full of that stuff. Look at that. Still going. There it goes, finally stops. Alright, so I actually did the Elite Crimson Avatar first, just because I would have had to run all the way to the other side of the map. This fight is difficult. I don't want to say artificially, but they did kind of screw you over a little bit. So the avatar gets more aggressive with his physical attacks, and in order to get here, you have to use the Totemic Lodge, which gives you like negative 35% physical defense. It's kind of ridiculous. So my plan was basically to use a combination of trap and my other skills in order to stagger, and then smack him around a little bit, and then once he gets smacked, use Moment of Truth, and then get out of there, rinse and repeat. Overall, not that too hard of a fight. However, his hit combo that he does, if I get hit by it once, it will actually kill me if I get hit by the whole thing. So you'll see me playing it very, very safe, using Mana Ward whenever he gets close. I don't remember if I get hit by his physical attack even once, but if I do, just one swipe of that thing. Insane. Again, we're just getting some residual impact buildup until he steps on the thing. And that one I didn't really feel safe going in. That little explosion doesn't do a whole lot. Like I said, the main thing we're mostly worried about is the physical. That one was almost the camera boss there, how that was. And he foiled me again with the little explodey dude. That one he always does twice, the little laser beam. So just keep that in mind if you dodge once. Dodge the other way again next time. Oh yeah, look at that damage. That was from one swing. And if he hits me once, I basically get comboed and die. So I was lucky that it staggered, but also unlucky that the animation didn't play and it still hit me. So I guess, you know, 12, 6, 1, half a dozen the other. I believe he's weak to lightning and ironically fire. And I'm just waiting for the little balls to pass so that I can get an opening. And again, 1 and then 2. And the technique, and that seals it. Overall, not that bad. I did lose a little chunk of health from that one attack that hit me, even though I staggered him. Which is one of the reasons that I was using Mana Ward a lot whenever he got close. But overall, not too bad. The main thing on this fight that you want to focus on, whatever build you're using, is dealing impact. And making sure that you do not allow him to hit you with that physical attack, because man, that negative, I think it's 35, negative 35 resistance, might be negative 50 to physical damage is terrible. So this one, they're weak to decay, so I used the Great Sword. Now, one thing that's interesting is even though I have 100% resistance to lightning, the Conjure Wind Sigil combo will actually almost kill me if I get hit by it. So, whew. I have to be very careful. The dude there with the Forged Glass Great Axe, or maybe it's Forged Glass Halberd. I think it's Halberd. He lays these traps down, and they do inflict like bleed and stuff, so you do want to make sure that you do not get hit by those. Granny's little smoke thing there primarily just does impact. I don't think it does damage. If it does an inconsequential amount. I was about to run at him in Moment of Truth, and I saw he was putting down the thing, and I had to zig and zag out of the way. Anytime that one I dodged auditorily, I didn't really see the symbol, but hearing that sound, better get to rolling. I wonder if these guys have a special property where they ignore of your resistances, because I can't think of another reason why she's doing so much with her elemental stuff. Oh yeah, see, look at that. Look at that. That did a good chunk of my health. Despite the fact that I should be 100% resistant to light. So I'm assuming they have some kind of damage ignoring property, similar to, I think, gargoyles. And Granny's dead, so we only have to take them each down once, which at this point is going to be relatively easy. Honestly, this fight's not too bad. I don't want to say it's a DPS check, because you can absolutely do this with a slow burn build. I think it's more of a management check, like how can you pay attention to two enemies at once? Because I think this is probably the strongest duo that you fight. I missed a lot of the hits with that, but there's worse. I tried to pivot and attack, but I was a little bit short with the range. And that one I tried to block, but the animation wasn't finished, so I should have rolled. Or just a casual lightning to the face to end things. Those are still deadly, I think, even after the fight, so don't step on them. Overall, not too bad. I think my worst ones were definitely the Crescent Shark, and I should have been less afraid of the Beast Golem than I was. But yeah, no, that Crescent Shark fight was terrible. Those are all the items I got from this. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the playthrough. Hopefully I'll be able to do another one here in the future.